Surge in student smart pill abuse, 10th graders using ADHD meds to study 20 hours. The star badge apartheid inside the coaching hierarchy dividing students by ranks. Nearly 30 suicides in 1 year in the coaching capital, a factory or a graveyard. Quota hostels install anti-suicide spraying, loaded fans after record students' deaths. 17-year-old NEET aspirant found dead. Leaves note, I'm sorry, I couldn't be a topper. My people, look at these headlines. This is not a dystopian movie. This is the morning news. In our own country, we have reached a point where suicide proof infrastructure is now a selling point for a hostel room. We aren't building schools anymore to study. We are building high security psychological wards and calling it education. Have you ever seen a 16-year-old hide their ID card? Not because they lost it, because the color that tells the whole hostel they are not elite enough to matter. It's called as batch apartheid. While the billboards celebrate the one in a million topper, a silent pharmacy of success is brewing in the shadows. We have children swallowing simultaneous, anxiety pills just to stay awake for 1 hour in the next room. Major coaching hubs have perfected a system where students are publicly labeled as high or low. Performing investments, they enter dream of becoming a doctor and they leave the feeling like defective inventory that failed on the other. A quality check in the $1 billion factory, if you see closely. The ceiling fans changed, the posters changed, but the message stayed exactly the same. Your worth is your rank. We have adapted the deaths without ever asking why our children want to die in the first place. People, when we start taking anti-suicide a business investment instead of a national shame, who's really failing? Is it the student who could not solve the equation, or the system that told them that their rot learning weren't worth the effort to try? Today we step into the shadows of India's coaching factories, not to judge anyone but to see, because the price of rank is getting higher every day and someone has to ask, are we winning the exam or losing our children? Ever seen a 16-year-old hide their ID card behind their back because the color of lanyard tells everyone in the hostel they are not elite enough to matter? The boy who stops calling home because he's terrified that his parents will see the badge demotion notice on his portal. Inside the concrete prisons of Kota and Hyderabad, we are not just teaching science anymore. We are sorting human beings into a psychological caste. We have traded ancient divisions for the new ruthless hierarchy, one where your birth is decided by the rank printed beside your name. It's called as batch apartheid. Major coaching hubs in India have perfected a system where students are publicly labeled as high or low as performing investments. The toppers get the best AC rooms, while the elite faculties, the secret doubt sessions, everything is there. Meanwhile, the thousands of others who are treated as educationally untouchable, invisible in the back of crowded halls. In these factories, success is concentrated only where the marketing value is the highest. Because let's be honest, right? The real customer to them is not the struggling student. The future billboard topper is their only real customer. Imagine being a 15 and realizing that you are considered defective inventory. We have created a conditional worth syndrome where the children don't just fear failure alone, they fear becoming disposable. In these factories, a rank isn't just a number. It's the new social currency. If you don't have your number, you are bankrupt, not just in the classroom, but in your own home, in your life. You will start thinking, they start to believe that the high scores equal respect. I am having low score equals personal inferiority, not respectable. This is not education, it's productivity tracking. Many students enter these halls dreaming of becoming doctors or engineers, and then while they leave that, the feeling like defective product, the quality check of billion-dollar industry which they provided. The most horrifying part is we have taught a generation that they are only lovable while they are performing. We are teaching them that failure is not just an event, it's your entire identity. When a child stops feeling like a human being and starts feeling like an air prediction, who is really for failing, like the student who couldn't solve the equation, or the system told them that they were not worth it the effort to try. Are we building the future of India, the nation, just an assembly line of broken souls, or instead? Have you ever walked past a student hostel at 3 a.m. and seen a single window glowing with a cold fluorescent light? Those rooms, sleep is not a right anymore. Treated Sleep is like treated as like a weakness, a chemical war where 16-year-olds are swallowing stimulants, caffeine pills, and anxiety meds just to stay awake 1 hour longer than the boy in the next room. We are not preparing children for exams anymore. We are training them to be medically suppressing their own exhaustion and stay little long. Psychiatrists across quota and they leave, or sounding the alarm risk of hidden pharmacy. It's no longer just about hard work. It's about pharmaceutical dependency. Terrified parents and anxious students are fueling a 1 billion rupee market for memory boosters and IQ capsules, while others turn to prescriptions, stimulants, just to remain emotionally functional. The modern student no longer competes with intelligence alone. They compete with whoever can chemically tolerate suffering the longest. The coaching institute has glorified the burnout. It's just simple. Until the teenager began treating biological collapse like a badge of honor. Imagine a 10th grade person, their entire life depends on staying awake. We have built an education system so psychologically violent that children are no longer living, they are simply operating on motherboard of stress and pressure emotionally to survive it. They have become silent pharmacy where teenagers medicate themselves just to continue existing inside a system that refuses to slow down. This is a chemical survival crisis. We are teaching a generation that rest is laziness and their minds are just machines to be upgraded. Somewhere between the caffeine and the panic attacks, the student just stops feeling like a human being. My people, when a child needs a pill to stay awake and pill to stop the shaking, what exactly are we testing? Their knowledge of physics or their ability to survive a psychological war zone? Whose future are we really building here? Have you ever walked into a room and felt that architecture is not feeling safe for me? In Kota, the hostels are advertising anti-suicide fans as a premium amenity. Think about how horrifying it is. We have built an education system so psychologically dangerous that hanging prevention devices are treated as normal furniture. We are not protecting children anymore. We are industrializing their survival, monetizing everything, following a record number of students' deaths. The suicide watch economy was born. Hostels installed the spring-loaded fans that collapses under abnormal weight, and institutes introduced happiness classes to decorate the pressure with wellness slogans. Why so? They paint the hostel walls yellow and just call it as happiness, while the curriculum inside remains same, a monochrome of terror, relentless testing, rote learning, batch segregation, public humiliation, shaming, a branding exercise. They are not removing the pressure. They are just making sure the walls are padded when the mind finally breaks. Despite the headlines, thousands of families still send their children into the chamber. Why? Because in India, a seat in IIT or AIMS just creates an escape route from poverty and creates prestige. The child is not just preparing for the exam, they are carrying generation of financial desperation. They internalize the terrifying belief that success equals right to live and failure makes you a burden to live. The deadliest lesson they learned is not physics, it's the belief that their life is a max problem that has to be solved or completely erased. The ceiling fans changed, the posters changed, but the message stayed exactly the same. Your worth depends on your rank. We have adapted to society without ever asking why our children want to die in the first place. My people, when we start treating anti suicide fans as a business investment instead of national shame, what are we actually building? A brighter future for India? Or just a more efficient way to keep the broken fan from falling? Who are we really saving here? Have you ever seen thousands of 16-year-olds screaming for autographs from a physics teacher like he's a Bollywood star, or a student crying in a hostel room because their favorite faculty switched the institutes? India once treated teachers simply as guides. Today, the coaching industry has turned them into untouchable celebrities with fan armies, luxury lifestyles, and billboards larger than politicians. In this economy, some teenagers no longer study for knowledge. They study for approval of a man they have never actually met in the first place. This isn't education, it's a personality driven marketing warfare. Major coaching hubs now compete by advertising star faculty as the commercial assets to attract thousands of enrollments from students. Every impromptu motivational speech is rehearsed, performed, designed to go viral and keep the enrollments flowing throughout the year. These educators have millions of followers by themselves and sold out seminars, but the classrooms has become secondary. The real product is myth. Students don't see a mentor anymore. They see a savior. And when a lonely teenager hears like I believe in you from a screen before hearing it from their own parents or by themselves, emotional dependency becomes inevitable. The danger intensifies when the critical thinking is completely replaced by emotional loyalty. We have created conditional worth syndrome. These grooves, while the students survive on instant noodles in 6 by 6 rooms, the staff faculty arrives in a luxury sedan paid for by the students' money. Failure in an exam doesn't just comes from academic anymore. It feels spiritual. When the miracle does not happen, students don't blame the flawed system. They blame themselves for not believing hard enough. They don't see themselves as a human beings. They see themselves as disciples who fail their master. The cruelest part of hero worship is that it leaves a child psychologically trapped inside a system they are no longer capable of questioning. The real danger of celebrity teacher is not fame, it's what exhausted children attach to that fame: hope, identity, salvation. Once a child becomes powerful figure holding the figure of the future, that becomes terrifyingly vulnerable. My people, when we turn education into mythology and teachers into untouchable idols, are we teaching our children how to think, or are we just teaching them how to follow? Who is really in control of their future? The student or the man on the billboard on the screen display? Have you ever looked at a teenager, a 17-year-old, and realized that they haven't laughed properly in months? Not a fake laugh at a joke, but the real soulful laugh. In rooms smaller than prison cells, millions of our teenagers are not spending their most important years trapped. They have traded their birthdays, sunlights, and friendships for a rank that might still reject them. We are not preparing them for the life anymore. We are slowly amputating life itself for them. Psychologists are calling it social entropy. Are raising children who can solve complex calculus problems but no longer know how to emotionally exist around other humans. Years spent in survival oriented conditioning means they miss the critical stage of their identity formation. Hobbies, creativity, even the family events are treated as distractions or weaknesses. The system has effectively criminalized being human, training students to feel guilty for every second they are not producing for the system. The coaching factory does not just exhaust you. It drains the emotional color out of your life fully. Many former students describe feeling numb and emotional blank space where the teenager memories should be. They spend their youth preparing for careers, but nobody prepared them for the adulthood. Even the winners, the ones on the billboards that we see, arrive at the finish line with a gold medal in one hand and the prescription and anxiety in the other hand. They won the war, but they lost the peace. The most painful realization comes after the exam ends, when they discover they sacrificed their life, their youth for the future they never actually got to emotionally live. The tragedy is that students are physically alive, but emotionally, they are disappearing. We are building socially functional machines, not human beings. And when the exam finally ends, many don't know who they are without the pressure. My people, when we spend so long preparing our children for life that quietly passes them by, what exactly are we winning? A seat in the college? Or a generation ghosts. The world does not need another rank, it needs a soul. Let's bring them back to the light and love of life first. We have looked into the shadows of batches, the pills, the fans, the idols, and what we found was not an education system, it's an extraction industry. It extracts the money from the parents, the health from the children, and the soul from the children's future. We have been told that that's the price of success, but look at the balance sheet. One last time. If a child gets into the best college in the industry in the country, but they have lost the ability to laugh, the ability to sleep, and their sense of self identity, is it a profit or complete loss? My people, the billboards will tell you that the child has secured first rank. The coaching centers will tell you that they are an investment future. The star faculty will tell you that they are the disciple, they are the going to change. But I'm telling you that as a human being, don't let the system convince you that a 16-year-old's worth can be printed on the billboard predicted by the AIR algorithm. India does not need more inventory. We need innovators who can think, who can hit the crowd, a generation that is actually alive to lead us. The exam is just a paper. Your child is the poem. Let's stop building better assembly lines for the broken souls. Let's start building a country where child's value is described by a number but by the lights in the eyes. The shadows only grows if we stay silent. It's time to bring our children home. It's time to bring them back to the light of life.